Chicago mayor and local goblin Lori Lightfoot has been asked to clarify her journalistic interview policy by a federal judge in response to a Judicial Watch lawsuit. This policy, of course, being no whites allowed to interviews with Lori Lightfoot. Now, I've been talking about this case, and you can find it linked in this video, but I encourage you to go ahead and get the full story, checking it out there. But let's get an update on what's going on. I'm Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. I'm a lawyer. I'm also a legal and political commentator on YouTube and on Odyssey. Wherever you're watching, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and turn on your notifications. I don't want you to miss any videos, okay? I don't want that. Nobody wants that. All right, let's take a look at this. We've got this article is from Fox News. It'll be linked down in the description. If you want to click on it and check it out for yourself, you absolutely can do that right there. So the judge orders Lightfoot to clarify policy that only granted interviews to journalists of color. I can only imagine her saying, did I stutter? I mean, it's pretty clear. She's not granting interviews to white people. It's racist. On its face, it's overtly racist. It's against federal law. It's likely against Illinois state law. Government officials cannot discriminate on the basis of race or national origin or other various things, religion, for example, without some pretty specific things. And there's nothing here that would pass any sort of test for scrutiny on whether or not she can violate this with this facial abuse of racism. You can't justify it. Now, what's not surprising, but it should be surprising, but it wasn't, is that the media gave her a complete pass on this issue. In fact, the media praised the racism as the right thing to do. And you know we've gone fully inverted here, right? Like Maverick flying over a Russian MiG. We've gone fully inverted here when you've got the media praising overt racism that is harmful to the media. Like the media's like, yeah, we do need to change and racism's going to solve it for us. Thank you, Lori Lightfoot. This is perhaps the most embarrassing aspect of the entire story, in my opinion, but we will read on. Lightfoot's lawyers claim at a hearing that policy denying interviews to white journalists is no longer in place. And of course they do. Of course they do. No guts to these people, right? No standing by their racist policies. They're in a federal lawsuit and they know they're going to lose. They know that this is a loser of a policy. It was meant to be a loser of a policy. There's no way for a state official to justify facially discriminatory policies like this. On the face of the policy, it is racist. No whites. Just flip it. This is the AB racism test, right? If you say no whites and the media is like, oh, this is great, you can do that. Yeah, of course, no whites. Just replace whites with blacks or Latinos or something like that and see if it sounds racist. If it sounds racist for one, it's racist for all. If Greg Abbott of Texas decided that he would not do interviews, well, I'm not going to do interviews with no black journalists, that would be racist. That would be discriminatory. It would be unlawful. And the media would be up in arms about it. They would be screeching about how you cannot do this. When Lori Lightfoot says no whites, the media is like, oh, bravo, finally, someone is putting us whites in our place. What a silly concept that we have to go to court to show that this is racist. And of course, at the first moment of resistance, whoa, no, judge, no. That policy, that was last week. I'm sorry that you are confused and you thought we were still doing that. No, of course not. Judge told lawyers for Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot Monday to provide a declaration by the end of the week as to whether a policy of only granting interviews to journalists of color was still in effect or would be in the future. They're, of course, going to say no so that this judge will moot out the lawsuit. He'll say, well, okay, well, it's over. You got your request, your injunctive relief. And so this is now a moot case. That's going to be the goal. And she'll just go ahead and implement the policy at another time whenever she wants and just say she won't do it anymore. Again, this is how these things tend to go. Of course, a court must be handling an active case or controversy. And a lot of times governments will get around that, or government officials will get around that by simply saying the policy doesn't exist anymore or won't be enforced in that way or isn't what it says it is. One of the famous cases of this recently was the ban on transporting a gun in New York anywhere other than from your home to a shooting range. It literally said that you could not stop at a gas station, a grocery store or anything like that, leaving the gun locked up in your car. That would have still been unlawful. You could only transport a firearm unloaded inside a locked case in the trunk of your car from your home to the firing range and back. That was it. You couldn't take it out of the city. The gun could never leave New York City ever. It had to remain in this place. And then once that got up to the Supreme Court level, they said, "Oh, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not. No. We're not doing that. That's not what we're doing. That's not how we're enforcing it." They didn't change the law. They didn't do anything specific. They just said they weren't going to do it. And the Supreme Court's like, well, if they're not going to do it, well, I guess then we just can't go ahead and rule on this. So this is the mootness doctrine in play, and that's what they're aiming for here. Conservative watchdog Judicial Watch asked the court for an injunction against Lightfoot's policy last week, saying it was unconstitutional. It is. But Lightfoot's attorney said at a remote hearing Monday that the policy was not in effect. Request was unnecessary, according to reports. Judicial Watch filed a lawsuit against Lightfoot on behalf of the Daily Caller News Foundation last month, alleging Lightfoot violated white reporter Thomas Catanacci's equal protection rights under the 14th Amendment when she didn't respond to multiple requests for interviews, as well as his First Amendment rights. Now, this is all correct and good. The problem with this is that she actually told everybody that she wasn't going to grant interviews to white journalists. This is the problem. If she had just denied this guy's requests, absent some showing that she was denying all white journalists' requests, they wouldn't have a case here. It's because she announced her policy, her virtue signal to the media, looking for those backpats, and the media bafflingly giving her those backpats. That's what caused this case. That's why this was a real controversy that needed to be handled. And I think it still does, because her saying that this thing is no longer in effect is not sufficient for me. I would love to see a judge actually grant an injunction and say, no, you cannot have an overtly racist policy like this, you racist. But we can only hope. We can only hope. Let's see. Lightfoot sparked outrage. This is Lori Lightfoot, but that picture of her. Lightfoot sparked outrage when she said last month she would only grant interviews to reporters of color upon the 2-year anniversary of her taking office, while admonishing Chicago City Hall press corps for its overwhelming whiteness. And again, if you can only imagine a mayor, a governor, someone saying, I'm only going to allow interviews from whites because of the overwhelming blackness of the local press corps. You could see why this would be a problem. Just invert them. Just invert the race that's being said, and you've got, of course, a racist statement. And it would not survive any sort of muster. She would be removed from office immediately for saying this about blacks if she were white. And this is the soft reversed racism that's going on all over the place. Judicial Watch lawyers protested that Lightfoot had provided no evidence that her denial of the interview request was not based on race, according to the Daily Caller, leading Judge John Z. Lee to order Lightfoot's team for a clarification of its policy by week's end. So what's going to happen here is pretty simple. This is pretty simple. They're going to go ahead and send their clarification that this was her statements at a press event. She never actually enforced the policy of not allowing whites. She didn't want to do this guy's interview because he's from an unfriendly organization in the Daily Caller, and she didn't have time, scheduling issue, whatever. She's not obligated to grant every single interview request, and that they never actually implemented the policy of only interviewing with people of color. That was not something that was ever actually put into play in practice. It was an offhanded remark. She regretfully made that statement and does not intend to carry out that policy in the future. And then the judge will be asked to moot the case and dismiss it. That's what we can expect. Whether the judge will dismiss it or if he says, it sounds kind of fishy to me, remains to be seen. I think likely we're going to see dismissal on this case, but never let the media forget that they supported overly and overtly racist policies from a Chicago mayor based on their own racism of accepting the policy solely because she's black. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Till next time, thanks for watching, guys. Peace. Peace.